It's 10 a.m. You sit down at your desk, you have a goal, you have a deadline, you know exactly what you need to do, but you don't do it. Instead, you pick up your phone. Just for a second, you tell yourself, just to check that one notification. 20 minutes pass, then 40. Now you feel guilty, so you go to the kitchen to get water. You clean a dish that's been sitting there for 2 days. You reorganize your desktop icons. You do literally anything other than the one thing that actually matters. This is the paralysis of zero motivation. It feels like a physical weight pressing down on your chest, making the act of starting feel impossible. You were waiting for lightning to strike. You're waiting to feel ready. But here's the brutal truth that high performers know and you don't. Motivation is not a fuel, it is a byproduct. If you are waiting to feel motivated before you work, you have already lost. Today, we are going to fix your broken focus. We are going to talk about finding your passion or visualizing success. We are going to look at the neuroscience of your brain's resistance, and I'm going to give you a mechanical, fail-proof system to force your brain into focus, even when you'd rather be doing absolutely anything else. Let's dismantle the biggest myth in productivity, the idea that action follows motivation. We tend to think the chain of events looks like this. You get an idea, you feel a surge of inspiration, motivation, and then you take action. That creates a dependency. It means your productivity is held hostage by your emotions, and human emotions are, by definition, volatile. They fluctuate based on how much sleep you got, what you ate for lunch, or the weather outside. Building a career or life on something that unstable is a recipe for failure. In reality, the loop is reversed. It's called the inspiration-action loop. Psychological research shows that action actually produces inspiration, which then leads to motivation to keep going. Think about a cold engine in the middle of winter. You don't wait for the engine to get hot before you turn the key. You turn the key to make the engine hot. Motivation is the heat. The action is the key. When you have zero motivation, your brain is essentially screaming that the energy cost of starting is too high compared to the immediate reward. Your brain is an energy conservation machine. It views hard work as a threat to its energy reserves. Your job is not to negotiate with this feeling. Your job is to bypass the negotiation entirely. Before we get to the practical steps, we have to look at the biological reason why focusing feels so hard right now. It's likely because your dopamine baseline is wrecked. Dopamine is often called the pleasure molecule, but that's inaccurate. Neuroscience defines dopamine as the molecule of craving and pursuit. It drives you to seek things. When you scroll TikTok, eat sugar, or play video games, you are flooding your brain with cheap dopamine. It's a high reward for zero effort. In contrast, writing a report, studying, or editing a video offers a delayed reward for high effort. If you have spent the last hour on your phone, your brain has acclimatized to a high level of stimulation. Asking it to suddenly focus on a boring spreadsheet is like asking a sprinter to run a marathon immediately after eating a 5-course meal. The contrast is too painful. The boredom feels physically painful because your brain is going through dopamine withdrawal. So, the first step to focusing when you have zero motivation is not to try harder, it is to normalize the boredom. If you can't focus, don't force the work immediately. Instead, do nothing. Literally nothing. Sit in a chair, away from screens, away from books, away from music. Just sit. Within 10 minutes, the boring work you need to do will start to look much more appealing than the agony of doing absolutely nothing. You are resetting your dopamine baseline. Once we understand the chemistry, we need to manipulate the physics of your environment. This is called friction design. Humans follow the path of least resistance, always. If your phone is on your desk face up, the friction to check it is near zero. If your work requires you to find a file, open a software, and locate your notes, the friction is high. To focus without motivation, you must invert this ratio. First, increase friction on distractions. If you are addicted to your phone, put it in another room. If that's not enough, put it in a drawer. If that's not enough, buy a time lock safe.
Make the distraction so annoying to access that your lazy brain decides it's not worth the effort. Second, decrease friction on the work. This is what author James Clear calls prime the environment. If you want to work out in the morning, your clothes should be laid out the night before. If you need to write, your document should be open on your screen before you go to sleep, so it is the first thing you see. You want to make the start accidental. You want to slide into the work before your brain has a chance to object. Now you're sitting there, the phone is gone, the environment is primed, but you still feel that wall of resistance. I don't want to do this. This is where we use the 5-minute rule. Tell yourself, I will do this task for just 5 minutes. If I still hate it after 5 minutes, I'm allowed to stop. Why does this work? Because the brain fears the magnitude of the task. Writing a thesis is a terrifying, massive mountain. Writing for 5 minutes is a tiny molehill. It feels non-threatening. Once you start, something magical happens. The Zeigarnik effect kicks in. This is a psychological phenomenon where our brains hate unfinished tasks. Once you open the loop by starting, your brain will naturally want to close the loop by finishing. The friction was entirely in the start, not the doing. If even 5 minutes feels like too much, make the step stupid small. Don't say, I need to work out. Say, I need to put on my socks. Don't say, I need to write the report. Say, I need to open a blank Word document. Lower the bar until you can step over it. We have started. Now, how do we stay there? We need to access flow state. Flow is that zone where time disappears and action becomes effortless. You can't force flow, but you can create the conditions for it. The best way to trigger flow when you are unmotivated is using a timer, specifically the Pomodoro technique, but with a twist. Set a timer for 25 minutes. Externalize the discipline. When the timer is running, you have a singular external mandate. You are outsourcing your willpower to the clock. Pair this with binaural beats or brown noise. Put on noise-canceling headphones. This creates a sensory deprivation bubble. The brown noise drowns out the erratic thoughts in your head, smoothing out your cognitive function. Work for 25 minutes, then guilt-free break. This creates a finish line. The brain can endure suffering if it knows exactly when the suffering will end. Here is the summary of your new operating system. 1. Accept that motivation is a lie. Action comes first. 2. Embrace boredom to reset your dopamine levels. 3. Increase friction for distractions and decrease friction for work. 4. Use the 5-minute rule to trick your brain into starting. The next time you feel that heavy, sticky lack of motivation, don't judge yourself. Don't call yourself lazy. Just look at the system. Where is the friction? Where is the cheap dopamine? Close your eyes, count to 3, and just do the stupid small step. Don't wait to feel like it. Start, and the feeling will catch up with you. Now, put your phone down and go do the work.